Thanks, Megan, for joining us. The 80s called, and hey, they think you're rocking that look. Now here in the studio, we're being joined by Nicole Lawson, a Maryland native with a keen eye for the small details in everyday life. Nicole has spent the past few months building her artistic portfolio from everyday materials. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So Nicole, take us through some of the pieces you have here in the studio.
Okay, so the first piece I have is designed based around the color green. So I chose several images that were green and created the composition from there. Secondly, this one, I cut out the coastline and then determined the rest of the images basically going along as I went. And finally, this one is kind of a self-portrait, obviously, like that's me in the center. And I created it inspired by a song by Gorillaz with the lyric, "I was yellow, he was blue." So you can see the color obviously was a source of inspiration there.
How long does it usually take for you to complete a full piece?
It really depends on how long I work at a time, but usually between 3 and 5 hours if I'm really just sitting down and cranking away at it.
Okay. And where do you typically find all the materials for your collages?
Usually older magazines. I have a lot of Life magazines from the 60s and 70s. I use old National Geographics, pretty much anything I can get my hands on.
Okay. And what does the process typically look like when you're creating a new piece?
Normally I'll find one image in particular, like for example, here I found a woman's leg and I decided it looked like she was going to step on somebody. Sorry. And so I also found, he's very, very tiny, this little guy, and I decided she's going to be stepping on him. Basically, I just kind of went from there.
And where did you get all the inspirations of making your collages?
Everyday life. I like making things that are a little absurd, a little weird, things that make you like take a second glance and look closer.
Okay, and where can we find all of your work?
Right now everything is on my Instagram, Collageable, and right now I'm hoping to start selling prints, but right now all I have are my original pieces for sale.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and letting me leave a mark on some of your incredible artwork.
Of course, thank you so much for having me.
For our final story today, we caught up with Josh Phillip, a local music producer who is blazing his own trail through one of the most diverse and challenging industries in the world.